我们比赛现在开始。
So our opponents are ready? Judges are ready? I will start in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges, my dear fellow debaters, good afternoon. Because gene editing technology can save millions of lives, we are firm resolved. Public Health Service should expand access to gene editing technology. First, I would like to offer these definitions. 1. According to U.S. National Library of Medicine, genome editing is a group of technologies that give scientists the ability to change an organism's DNA. These technologies allow genetic material to be added, removed, or altered at particular locations in genome and gene. 2. From World Health Organization, Public Health Service is defined as the arts and science of preventing disease, prolonging life, and promoting health through the organism effort of society. It aims to provide conditions under which people can maintain to be healthy, improve their health and well-being, or prevent deterioration of their health. Second, I would like to offer my observations. In today's debate, approval is required if gene editing is or will be beneficial to general public. In order to win this debate, our opponents must prove that gene editing is absolutely harmful to the public, and no types of gene editing should have access expanded. Then, I would like to offer my 3 contentions. Contention 1, gene editing technology can prevent diseases. Genome editing is of great ability in the prevention of human and animals' diseases. For example, as Futurism magazine states, HCM is a heart condition. Its symptoms are often deadly. But in summer in 2017, scientists at Oregon Health and Science University used CRISPR to delete one of these defective genes in human embryos. The results were promising. This shows that gene editing can correct genetic errors caused by diseases. So proper use of gene editing technology can improve the health of humans and animals and release them from diseases. Contention 2, gene editing technology can cure diseases. According to Jennifer Doudna, a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, and the inventor of CRISPR, in an interview in 2016, she said, "There's already a lot of active research going on use CRISPR technology to fix genetic diseases. And scientists now have the technology that can repair those mutations to provide." Contention 3, Public Health Service expanded access to it can promote social justice and prevent monopoly. Since this technology takes significant effort and amount of resources, and the expenses in order to apply this technology will be very high, when the price is high, fewer people could afford them. If the technology is monopolized by private commercial institutes, it will be harder for public to afford this technology. The public health costs harm the social justice. If Public Health Service expand access to this technology, it will prevent monopoly. Furthermore, public service will ensure that this technology could be justice for the public and the cost will decrease as well. An example from the MIT Technology Review, the fewer eligible patients, the more expensive it will be. The prices range from $300,000 to $1 million on the monopoly, so the high cost prevents public use the technology and hurts the social justice. Therefore, expanding access to gene editing technology can decrease the cost and more people can be benefit from it from the development of this technology. For all these reasons, please vote pro. Thank you.
Okay, guys ready?
Yes.
Ready. Okay, my time starts now. I come here to vote that public health services shouldn't expand access to gene editing technologies. And please remember, we mentioned shouldn't expand access doesn't mean that we deny the value of gene editing. Instead, we believe that there is no need to do so, since the current system is already well developed. America is not treating gene therapy as equivalent as any other medical procedure. In the International Summit on Human Gene Editing, nearly everyone at the meeting agreed that efforts to use gene editing after birth to correct defects in non-reproductive cells should continue. So don't you think that if we give more access gene editing technology will be the prior one among other medical procedures, especially when technology is not fully devised. First, gene editing technology fails. Current CRISPR mechanisms are limited and cannot reach human cells effectively. Even when the delivery problem is solved, p53 genes will get destroyed by the insertion of CRISPR, therefore unable to fight against human tumors anymore, since p53 mutations are responsible for nearly half of ovarian cancers, 43% of colorectal cancers, and so on. Besides, inserted CRISPR have 40% possibilities of off-target effects, and publics do not have according solutions yet. So, how dare we stage to expand more access even before fully understanding it? Second, eugenics, which means a network of beliefs, processes, and practices that produce a particular kind of self and body that is projected as a perfect, species typical, and therefore essential and fully human. Then it will further cause discrimination in favor of able-bodied people. 80% of Korean women are willing to accept plastic surgery, and over 10 million Chinese did so last year because of their enthusiasm towards white skin, big eyes, and pretty face. Can you imagine if these traits can be inherited? What will society be like? Can you imagine if most people share the same genes? What will happen to the minority? Won't they be treated as weirdo and get crushed out by others in more priorities such as intelligence? Besides, it will also widen the wealth gap. Among US adults, 7 in 10 say inequality would be prone to increase because gene editing would only be available for the wealthy, especially when the poor are more likely to suffer from physical accidents under the lack of insurance. Even for poor countries, they are less likely to afford to invest this technique, so it would also widen the gap between countries. Third, security concerns. Unlike nuclear weapons, bioweapons are more efficient, more accessible, yet with same impressive power. In this way, biohackers are more likely to get access to it. Already, a research team at the university in Canada has recreated from scratch an extinct relative of smallpox without a glance from law enforcement officials. It proves that scientists who want to experiment with virus cannot create it themselves. Please remember, even if there is official ban towards drugs in China, they appear in black market and in social media. In addition, it will also give rise to criminal concerns. Scholars have come across terrorism in samples processed for identification purposes from leukemia patients who have received bone marrow transplants, so it will be possible. Therefore, criminals may use such things to commit crimes in the future, which would obviously block the policy process. First, biotech market. And it is well known that a lot of insurance companies have a lot of enthusiasm in investing in this field because they think that they can get a lot of money and get a lot of profit from it. But the result is that in US, last year, their revenue is 2.2 billion, equal to just 1.5% of their combined market capitalization. So you can see that even though they provide so much money in this field, they get little. And besides, a handful of failures in clinical trials could send investors flying. You can see such an unstable market is strictly linked to other essential issues such as agriculture, biofuel, and disease because they need to cure by these things. So that is all my points and I rest my case.
Excuse me, can we have 45 seconds for prep time, please? Thank you.
Okay, thumbs up.
So our opponents are ready? So judges are ready? Okay, we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, in your contention 1, you mentioned that it will be off targets, so we want to ask for improvement. What kind of off target will happen? Also, you only mentioned CRISPR technology in your contention 1. Could you please give me other example using other genetic technology?
Okay, please let me answer the question back. CRISPR is obviously the significant portion of this technology. So First, I don't think that we should ignore this part. Besides, up-to says a lot of other technologies like Thailand and Thailand and something like this.
Can you prove in detail about the Thailand or other?
I don't think that I have the responsibility to do so because I already mentioned it, and if you want, maybe you can check afterwards. I'd have to mention that they are even less efficient than CRISPR because as the scientists at a lot of universities like Harvard, and they mentioned that CRISPR nowadays is almost the most efficient way, and they utilize CRISPR to cure other diseases. They think so, but they seldom try. And the second thing, maybe is my time to ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned about monopolies, but do you ignore that a lot of products, if they want to go into the market, they have to go through the review process provided by the government?
Can you clarify it? Can you say it? Can you say it again?
I mean, if some products need to enter market, they have to go through the review process from the government. So how can you think that they must be dangerous?
So I don't think this will have a straightforward connection to expand the access.
But it's your contention. You mentioned monopolies.
Yeah, but our monopoly is that if we don't expand access, only a few people can have it. Because if we don't expand access, only a few people, only wealthy people can use it. Because if it's rare, the price will be high. But if we expand the access, more and more people will get used to it because it's not that rare.
I'm sorry,
and so more people
but
will
I
use
think
it.
that you made off topic because topic is about public health.
Yeah, that's because it is about public health. So we need more people to.
So
So
don't you think that the technology is handled by governments? As
Okay. You ask it again, please.
I mean, so don't you think that technology is not handled by governments? So
But who will expand the access? Is government expand the access, or another institute or organization will expand the access? Who will do this decision?
But the topic is about public health services.
Yeah, I mean that the government should do some work to expand the access of technology.
Okay, so do you have any questions? Do not.
Yeah, we have some questions. You mentioned biohacker. So can you clarify it about the relationship between biohacker and our topic?
Okay, biohacker utilize genetic knowledge and how they get activated because the government expand access to it so they can get access to it. Just like you said, at least currently the private sectors cannot get access to it, but if the government expand access to it, they can get to it.
But you mentioned an example is biohacker. So if we don't expand the access, only biohacker can know this knowledge. But the other people in our world won't know that. Only biohacker control this. Thank you.
Are my opponents ready? Are the judges ready? Is my partner ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start in time in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. Judge, please look at my opponent's framework. It mentioned that this technology is being well developed and we don't need to expand this kind of technology. But they mentioned many errors and many things that we need to develop and we need to improve in their contentions. So their framework doesn't work here. And then for their contention 1, my partner mentioned that they only mentioned CRISPR as a failure, but we have other examples such as base editing technology. Because according to my data, the Science Daily reported that the base technology can use to prevent diseases, and they already succeeded on mice. So we think by expanding this kind of technology, it is hopeful one day that this kind of technology can prevent other very harmful diseases in humans. And then they also talked about CRISPR being the most effective way. And there are still 40% off-target possibilities. So we think by expanding this kind of technology, CRISPR can be more efficient. And then for their second contention, they mentioned that we need to pay attention to eugenics. But we think that, according to my data, according to the issue in Science and Technology, scientists reported that the U.S. partly expand this kind of technology. For example, they fully support the expand in agriculture, but they partly expand it on the humans. And if this kind of experiment is relative to human body, then they will strongly consider it before expanding this kind of technology and allowing this kind of technology. And then they also talk about poor countries will not be able to use this kind of technology. according to our contention 3, we mentioned that this kind of technology can promote social justice and prevent monopoly. Isn't the reason why the poor people cannot use some really high developed technology nowadays is because it's being monopolized? Shouldn't we expand the access to this kind of technology to promote social justice, to let the poor countries have a chance to use this kind of technology and save the lives of the poor countries' people? And then they also talk about bioweapons, but I want to make a point. You mentioned biohackers, but you never clarified what is the meaning of biohacker, what is the definition, what's the straight relationship between biohackers and expanding access to this kind of technology. And then there is no straight connection between a bioweapon and then expanding this technology. Because before expanding, this bioweapons are existing. So we think that there is no straight connection. So their contention about bioweapon is also wrong. And then they also talk about the terrorists may manipulate this kind of technology. But nowadays, what do we do when we realize that bad people are manipulating some kind of technology? We set laws. So this is exactly what we'll do. Because according to my data, it says that the government and the ethics committees, they all agreed to set laws. And then in 2016, the Science magazine said that multiple scientists agreed and claimed that the countries are using their laws to protect the humans and protect the world. And then they also talk about uncertain market. My side thinks uncertain market doesn't have a straight connection to our topic, because our topic is about whether to expand. And then we are talking about it on the public health service side. We're not talking about it in the economic side. So we think this doesn't have a straight connection, just like the bioweapon one. So for all those reasons, please vote pro. Thank you.
Can I ask for 30 seconds of that time? Thank you.
Time's up.
If everyone else is ready, I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Firstly, I'd like to attack the point of my opponents about how effective gene editing technology is on curing diseases. Well, I'd like to argue that they're exaggerating its value because I'd like to introduce a new concept, evolution. People know how if one single gene causes a very serious defect, it will not survive the evolution because evolution selects against those genes. So all the survived genes that exist today, they are complicated. They interact with the environment. They interact with one another. These rare cases that 1 or 2 single genes are going to cause a defect because of the evolution and how they make empty promises about how promising this technology is all using some examples. Well, we don't deny the value of this while you are exaggerating the value of this. As I mentioned before, because of the evolution, how difficult it is to actually treat polygenic gene disease with gene editing technology, while we have all other cheaper and more effective ways such as vitro fertilization and PGD, which is test tube babies and pre-selection of pre-pregnancy tests. And that is exactly why we shouldn't devote too much money on this because of how effective the substitutes are. And then my opponent also mentioned the biohack, how she asked us to point out the relationship between biohackers and this topic. Well, I argue that, do you know that there is a $5,000 kit that can be bought directly from the market by the biohackers, and they can use this $5 toolkit to insert edited genes to their veins. While I'd like to clarify here, biohacks, they don't have biology degree, they don't have much knowledge, they're not scientists, they're just a bunch of people who are enthusiastic about this topic and they want to add their genes. Well, I argue that public health shouldn't let that toolkit enter the market. Public health should strengthen the regulations and restrictions against such $500 kit in which people just can freely edit their genes because you see biohackers are actually causing damages in the United States. And then they ask about how bioweapon is also related to this topic. I'd like to say that I'd like to appeal to the history here. Do you guys know that in 1930s, the Japanese, they actually used bacterial war against the Chinese people. It caused thousands of people to die because of this dangerous biological technology. If that happened, why gene editing technology should be any different? If it flows into the hands of the private terrorists or some private billionaires, because that is exactly, because CRISPR is so effective, that's why, exactly why we should put strong restriction on this technology for how dangerous it can be, and that is why public health should like strengthen the restriction because it's going to help with the dangerous thing. And then my opponents also asked me to explain the uncertain market stuff. Well, I argue that because the regulation is too not strict enough, the investors always think that they're going to gain a lot from this technology, therefore invest a lot of money in it. But as I said before, editing gene is complicated and we don't know enough, so the gain is not enough. So the investors are going to lose money. And why this is related to this topic? Because if public health strengthen restriction, the investors are going to sniff out the information here and they are going to stop investing money in it. That's why I think public health would help with the uncertain market stuff. Because you see, uncertain market has actually caused a massive economic disaster in Europe and the United States. It's supported by facts and history. And again, we're not denying the value of this technology, but we should constantly remind ourselves of the state of limited knowledge we're in, and we should pay respect to the nature and the job that evolution has done. Thank you. I rest my case.
Excuse me, can we have 30 seconds for prayer time, please? Thank you.
Time's up.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question about the example that you made about the bioweapon. You mentioned that Japanese use bacteria to use it on China. So what is the relationship between bacteria and what we were talking about, gene editing technology?
Well, I think it's an efficient parallel because how bacteria is also a dangerous biological technology on gene editing, because how dangerous is it and how much damage it causes, because the public health didn't, because at that time Japanese government didn't apply restriction, or the United States, so that's why I think public health should apply restriction on this technology so that it won't flow into the private market and the terrorists can't.
So, but you mentioned restriction.
I think, yeah. So I think it's my turn to ask questions. Yeah. How do you respond to the thing that eugenics, because how this is gonna cause eugenics, and you simply responded that by how people is not going to because of the restriction. So are you actually agreeing with our points that the gene enhancement technology shouldn't be extended to the public?
First of all, I want to claim that the U.S. government claimed that this kind of technology, although it may be expanded, but if we expand it, the first purpose is to save lives. We are not trying to make perfect human. We're trying to make healthy
judges.
human.
I found my opponents on her own wish restricting this topic back to the curing disease gene technology. But I argue that gene enhancement technology is a very significant part of gene editing technology. So my opponent is actually narrowing down the part of gene editing here. May you mention that, please?
So,
okay, it's your turn to ask.
Yeah, it's my turn to ask a question. I want to ask you to claim that in your rebuttal you mentioned that CRISPR should be put in restriction, but you never mentioned any others. So are you probably agree that except CRISPR, other technologies should be expanded
Well, I never
in this
said that.
area?
Okay, I never said that, but I happen to keep track of the news of the Hong Kong Human Gene Editing Summit. In fact, in this Gene Editing Summit, which has gathered the most smartest mind of the international global citizens, and they are basically talking about CRISPR because how strong it is. And you mentioned all those talents and Jefferson. Trust me, we have looked into them.
We never mentioned Taylor's, and that's what your partner
okay,
mentioned.
about your base technology, I argue that why its access is not expanded yet, it's because it's so new and it's so strong. Trust me, every new technology, once they're invented, they will go through a 5 to 10 years reviewing process. Just as the previous technology of GMO food additive, they also gone through a long process. Why should this technology be treated any differently? Because I argue that review process is necessary. It prevents risky and unsafe products
We
from
never
flowing
said
into market.
expanding is not reviewing. We're trying, because expanding, the word expanding, the definition is to expand in multiple ways. We never said that expanded this. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, can we have 15 seconds for prepare, please? 15 seconds, please.
Thumbs up.
So judges are we ready? Our opponents are ready? Partner are ready? Okay, I will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Honorable judges, my dear fellow debaters, so I would like to offer my summary right now. First, for your contention, you said that there's a lot of limitation. You mentioned that there are 40% of off-target, but we said that those are the reason why we need to expand access, because we should ask more people, more scientists, more labs, more people to pay attention to it and think about the method to develop this technology. Also, nothing is perfect when they came out at first. We do have examples such as breast cancer and X-ray that can support us. Also, we asked them a question about what kind of technology also have off-target effect. They only mentioned a little about talents, but without the specific results and examples. And we mentioned that there's a success using another gene editing technology, which is base editing, that really success in an experiment. And for their contention too, they said there will be a discrimination, and poor people can't use this gene editing technology. So that is actually a monopoly, and this monopoly is bad. So that's the reason why we need to expand the access to let the cost get lower. Because if more people will use it, the cost will be lower. If the cost is lower, poor people can use it. That's the reason why we need to expand access to provide the social justice. We need all people from the public can use this gene editing technology to cure their diseases and save their lives. Also, about the bear weapon and bear hacker, they didn't mention the straight connection between our topic and theirs. And bioweapon is not only caused by gene editing technology, because before the gene editing technology, bioweapon already exists. And also about the uncertain market, we want to mention is that which is more important, the money or people's lives. And about the five contention evolution, they think it's too complicated. So that's the reason why we need to expand it, because if there are complete questions, we need to think about the solution. Thank you.
Just ready? Okay, ready? Okay, my time's not now. Please let me make some summary about the points I've mentioned. The first is about technology fails. And I have used one example such as CRISPR, but you just know that, because it's CRISPR, so others are all successful. But I never mean so. I just used one example, but you just ignore the picture by using the example. So, and about discrimination, and you mentioned this, just because they have 40% off-target effects, we should expend more energy on it, but I don't think so. Because nowadays we have some more urgent issues like famine and the wars. So how can the governments put the energy and the limited resources on these things? Because I never mean this. We do not need to do research. We are doing research. Of course we are doing research. And we just mean it's the status quo is better. I mean, mentioning status quo is better. And second, about discrimination. You just say that, because it will appear and more people use it, so the cost will be lower. But please remember, you just mentioned that if all the things should happen, the first thing is that more people use it. So what about the start? What about the period? Some people cannot get access to it. Certainly it will lead to eugenics, and certainly it will lead to discrimination, but you ignore the period. And the third is about security. You mean that we need to set laws. So I cannot understand the point in your project because you mean set laws.